In your chapter 5, dramatizing success of this book, Come Closer, which I'm going to keep holding up because it's pretty amazing. I want to kind of approach it through the structure of school itself, especially the physical structure. And you write that in your school, 3 dirt brown doors, the common entrance, confront faculty, staff, and students and visitors. But in stark contrast, stained glass panels designed by McGray students flank the doors. A winged dragon rises out on the left, and below the dragon, a rainbow mosaic spells out the school's name in pointy letters. The dissonance between the forbidding doors and the colorful bits of glass that surround them is a striking metaphor for this unique school. This immediately made me think of the book The Third Teacher and another book out of the D School called Make Space. And I'm thinking that within our schools we're constantly appropriating spaces, trying to make a student-centered pedagogy, but our hallways, classrooms, meeting spaces are often designed for a much different approach to learning, direct instruction, for example, and a measuring system based on individual production. What suggestions would you have for reappropriating space within schools to let the third teacher of environment reflect a more group-centered participatory learning?
So I think I might want to start by contextualizing what you just read for us a little bit and tell you a little bit about the project that that chapter describes and the children that I was working with, and also that school, because it was a really particular moment in the work that I was doing. So that school where I was doing the project was an alternative school, the only alternative school in the district that I was working in at the time. And the students who were in the school are all students who had, for some reason or in some way, been unsuccessful in whatever school they were in before they came to that school. And they'd all made a choice to come to the school. So the school was based on William Glasser's choice theory. So the idea is that the students are constantly being offered opportunities to make choices and understand the consequences of those choices. And so that school was specifically designed for those students. So it's a relatively small student population. On the other hand, the school looked very much like any other high school in the district and in most of the U.S. at least, probably other parts of the world as well. And so we were in that project I was working with a particular teacher, and we were trying to help the students think more deeply about the choice that they had made to attend that school, the choice they had made to be in this particular class because they'd all chosen this English class they were in, and the choices that they were making about identity in the space of this alternative school that they were in. Okay, so that's a little bit of context for the project. The workshop that I was doing with them was a relatively short workshop. It was about 4 days, and it took place during they had an extended classroom, their extended class time for their English class, and it took place during their English class. They all elected to be part of the workshop. That was one of the choices that they had made. And there were a couple of students in the class who chose not to do the work with us. And we chose a room in the school that was not their classroom on purpose. So we chose it's kind of like a lounge space that had some windows in it. And that was purposeful on the part of the teacher and me to allow the students the opportunity to be out of sort of the traditional spot where they were in a lot, so that would essentially just sort of add to the work that we were doing together, which was extraordinarily out of the box for them. Like the image work, the kind of conversations that we were inviting them to have with us, that was not the kind of work that they were typically doing, even in the environment of this sort of alternative school that we're working in. So I think that was a purposeful choice on our part, but I think to get to your question, I think that this work has the potential. It's not built in naturally necessarily, but it has the potential to help us be extraordinarily conscious of all of the aspects of moments of education. So who we are in the space, who other folks are in the space with us, who the instructors are in the space with us, and also the space itself and how that's influencing who we are and what's happening to us. So I think it has the potential to help us create language that we may not necessarily have to begin to talk about that. That may not be an extraordinarily specific way of talking about it, but I think that is the potential in the work, Chris.